Whirling within you is a wonderful gift, a power known as spiritual zeal. And when it awakens, there's a powerful shift. The joy that's released is so real. Whoa, lift your spirit up, lift your spirit up, lift your spirit up, lift your light and love. Lift your spirit up, lift your spirit up, lift your spirit up, lift your light and love.
Lift your spirit up. Don't you feel that as soon as you walk in here? Don't you feel that shift? This year, for each month, we've been talking about one of our 12 powers, one of our 12 gifts from God. These gifts are innate within us. They are part of us. We can't help but not have them. The thing is, we don't know they're there. And so we have to awaken them. And that's what each month has been about. Because when we awaken those gifts, our spirit is lifted up. It can't help but not be. And when we do that, we not only raise our consciousness, but we raise the consciousness of this entire world. Isn't that what we want? That's how powerful we are. So this month's power is spiritual zeal. The last power I spoke about at the end of August was divine power. And these two dovetail, they come together. Divine order is an intelligent system. It's an essence, it's an energy that is underlying and within everything. Divine order. And it invites us to view every challenge that comes before us, every fear that pops up, to look at it as an opportunity. An opportunity for my soul to rise up, to lift up, to move higher, and grow into the person my soul came here to be. Think how differently you'd feel about those challenges and fears in your life. Oh, wow, an opportunity to get lifted up. How exciting would that be, right? So the month of September, I was away. I'm going to talk about that a bit. But Reverend Therese was here, and she talked about daring greatly, daring to be yourself, the courage to be vulnerable, because that's when we're the most powerful. Not allow our fears to stop us from lifting up, from rising higher. So, where was I? I was at this place called Big Sky Retreat in Montana. And the theme, if you can see it, was rising higher. Now, you know, you have to rise higher to get there. You climb about 8,000 feet to get there. Fern went with me. We went together, and we got off the airplane puffing. Go to that elevation from here. And we puffed our way for a couple of weeks, let me tell you. But the retreat has been going on for 41 years. And it has been a retreat I've always wanted to go to, and it just never happened. Back in January, they sent in the flyers the way they usually do, and I could just feel this moving in me. You know, when spirit moves in you, if you listen, it tells you the next step to take. And it was, this is the year to go. Well, Fern comes in on Thursdays, and she helps in the church. And she walked by, and I said, "Hey, Fern, you want to go to this?" And she goes, "Sure." We had no idea how it was going to happen. We just knew we were going. So we got to hear some awesome musicians. Michael Gott, I think we've got him up there. Michael Gott was, the story on him was, he was playing in a sleazy gay bar, And Unity minister walked in, and he was playing this really sleazy song. And the Unity minister saw something there. And the next song Michael went into was this absolutely beautiful song. And he said the minister went and put $5 in his tip jar. Usually, you were lucky if you got $1 back then. Michael continued on his path. He is now the associate senior minister at Unity of Houston, one of the biggest Unity churches in the country, and an awesome musician. The other person, how many of you heard of Karen Drucker? Yes, Karen Drucker was there, and she rapped for us. How fun was that? The presenters were awesome, but two I want to talk to you about. One was Reverend Sheila McKeith, who's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And in her 20s, she was a very healthy, hearty police officer in Fort Lauderdale. And one day she found herself gasping, and she knew something was wrong. So she went to the doctor, who immediately sent her to the hospital. At the hospital, they told her in her 20s she had 6 days to live. We talk in Unity about healing. We talk about the power of our thoughts. And that's what happened to Reverend Sheila. She changed her thinking. And 31 years today, she's still with us. She went on to go to law school. She became the Assistant Attorney General of the state of Florida. And at the height of her career, she felt the Spirit moving in her, the call into ministry. And she became a Unity minister in Jamaica. And she's not only that, she's the regional director of the Caribbean, the Bahamas. She's on the faculty of 2 seminaries. She's the president of the Universal Foundation for Better Living. And her credentials go on and on and on. And now she has some project where she's raising $10 million to help people. Because she didn't listen when someone said she only had 6 days to live. Because she took her own power. She changed her thinking. She did something about it. Unity is founded on Myrtle Fillmore's healing. She was given 6 months to live. And through her thinking, she lived another 40-some years. So guess what Reverend Sheila talked about? The 12 powers. That's divine order, guys. And I was so impressed with her, she wrote this book. People want to know how she healed herself. It's 12 steps to your healing. And I'm going to be using this book after the first of the year for Sunday Talks. And we will go through her process, and you can work on whatever's going on in your life. The next person, and most of you know her, if you've taken Prosperity Plus, was Mary Morrissey. How many of you have taken Prosperity Plus? Yay, look around at you awesome people. Now, Mary Morrissey founded Prosperity Plus. But what she wants us to know is prosperity is not about money, and that's what she teaches. Prosperity is about opening ourselves up to this abundance that's all around us all the time. That's how we got to the Big Sky retreat, not through the money. Mary's been down and out probably more times than anybody I know. And what Prosperity Plus is really all about is not allowing our fears to limit us from fully living this life experience. It's about health, it's about peace, it's about joy. So Mary dared greatly, what Reverend Teresa was talking about. And like the phoenix, every time she was down, she just rose out of those ashes. And in 1974, she started a spiritual group in her living room on this little farm she lived in Oregon. And by 1992, it had grown into a mega church. 94,500 square feet on 95 acres with a retreat center and an elementary school and so much more. And in 2004, she lost it all. And I just happened to be there in 2004 on my class trip when I was in ministerial school. Everything was closed up. And we couldn't believe it because Mary had been known throughout the Unity movement. What had happened was her husband had embezzled $10 million of the church's funds. He went to prison for it. But now notice what your reaction was and where you went with that. Mary didn't go there. She took time. I did the series Dark Night of the Soul last year or the year before. And it was Mary that inspired me with that because she was in the dark night of her soul. And she spent time with that book. And she looked at what she could do to change it around. So she refused to claim bankruptcy on that $10 million debt, even though her attorneys told her to. Today, 12 years later, she has paid $8 million back. Think about this. 12 years ago, nothing, no place to live, nothing. How did she do it? She's the master of this. And this is why I continue to offer Prosperity Plus here, because it changes your life. Her husband did go to jail. But here's what Mary says. The law of abundance is a perfect system when you let go of fear. And here's what she said fear is. A lot of us know that fear is false evidence appearing real. Here's what she said it is. Forgetting everything's all right. Isn't that what I do when I go into fear? Because everything is always all right. So that trip to Montana and then a side trip to Yellowstone was an example for me of how I allow my abundance, how I allow abundance to flow into my life. How I don't allow fear to limit me. When Fern and I decided to go, we really didn't know. We had no plans. We just got our tickets and knew we were somehow going. But we both know that when that fear arises, we don't give power to it, that it's an opportunity to practice. So at the Big Sky Retreat, they have these ski lifts, and we decided to go up one day. Now, I'm being very, very kind, and I'm not putting the picture up of the Fern going up that ski lift, which was like this. But here's the one of her coming down. You got it, Dan? So, she faced the fear, and that view when we got to the top was so well worth it. And the joy you can see as she comes down. So we left that retreat, and we rented a car, and guess what they gave us? A Jeep. How perfect was that? So off we went after, and we get in the Jeep, and she goes, you know where we're going? I went, no. No map, no plans. People said, do you have reservations? We said, no. But you know what? We believe in divine order. And everything just dropped in place. And we took a side tour that we hadn't planned and had an amazing experience and found an area where there had been an earthquake that created a lake, something I'd never heard about. But when we don't let our fear stop us, we get to explore and see beautiful things. So the first thing we came across was a buffalo. You got that, Dan? Should be the next one. The buffalo. Fern and I. Nope. Next one. Back one. Back. There we go. So as we drove in, we got all excited. We got out of the car. We thought this was such a big deal. And then we got in the car, went a little further. Now the next one, Dan, and saw this whole field of geysers. And then we're going to go through some of these geysers very quickly, Dan. Just drop right through them. And you can see the beauty of this place. It's like nowhere else on earth. And Fern kept saying to me, I know there's aliens here. Old Faithful, keep going. Yeah, that's it. It was continually a continual wow each time. Next one. This is the one that really struck me. The life and the barrenness all at the same time. They build boardwalks on these because you can't walk on them, because it's like walking on the crust of the earth. The next one, Dan. Okay. So our last day at Yellowstone, it snowed. And it was cold. And I wanted to go to this place, and so Fern said, I'll drive you. And you got a picture of Fern sat in the car, waiting for me. And so leave that one up for a minute. So I headed off onto one of those walkways. There were a few people. It was snowing. It was cold. And when I got further in, there weren't any people. Now, we saw elk, we saw wolves, we saw buffalo, but we didn't see bear. And every day we said, we want to see a bear, we want to see a bear. So when you get there, they hand you all these cards that say tips for visitors about bears. Carry your bear spray with you. And as I'm walking, I think you got the sign there, Dan, of these signs were everywhere. Be alert, make noise, carry bear spray, hike with 3, do not run. I'm out there in the middle of nowhere, all by myself. I really don't want to see a bear. You know, for a moment, I forgot everything was all right. But when I remembered, I had a nice walk. Spiritual zeal. It's our ability to be enthusiastic rather than fearful. And it doesn't come from our head. It comes from way down inside us. And it churns, it boils up. It's not motivated from anything that happens out here. But it's the sheer joy of connecting with the infinite. Snow everywhere. Pine trees covered in snow. Stillness. Can you feel that joy? And that spiritual zeal starts to move. We dare greatly with spiritual zeal. We don't allow fear to stop it from coming up because it feels different. It doesn't feel like the passion, the enthusiasm that we have from outer things. It feels very different. It's not learned in any books. It's a knowledge innate in our souls. And when we recognize it, and I know you've all felt it, when we recognize it, and when we set it into action, it makes us tremble from head to toe. And it incites all those other powers to start to move and to act. Our soul thirsts for fullness. When we reach out here for things to fill us, we stay hungry. All we have to do is open to that spiritual zeal and make it so.
No need to ask anyone. I just set my intentions upon my goal. I form the thoughts in my mind, and then I speak the words, and I find in my soul. If you want it, you can have it. Just see it and believe it. Just say it and create it. Let your spirit flow. If you want it, you can have it. And just see it and believe it. Just say it and create it, and you'll make it so.
Our spiritual zeal rises up from our spiritual consciousness. not our personal, ego-centered consciousness. And it stirs up new inspirations. It stirs up new ideas. It motivates us to move forward, to speak, to act truthfully, confidently, courageously, fearlessly. Isn't that what Daring Greatly was all about? Our personal, our ego-centered zeal, and that's what we're all used to, reacts from the outer world. It's impulsive. It's passionate. So what happens when a new movie or a new book comes out? Everybody's talking about it, and there's hype everywhere about it. And you can't wait to go see it. You can't wait to read it. And then you got to tell your friends, you got to read this book. You got to go see this movie, right? And then all of a sudden, a few months later, a different movie comes out. A different book comes out. What happened to the other one you were so excited about? You see, our human zeal is very short-lived. It's just replaced by something else. And isn't the media great at doing this for us? Talk about hype, huh? The excitement that's like any news. Well, I mean, that's their business, right? But any news, they just hype it up. They get us all excited about it. So when there's a bombing, when there's a terrorist, when there's police shootings, all you see and hear about, it draws your focus. And what does it do? It gets that human zeal going. And so there are some people out there that react and respond from their human zeal, don't they? And then their actions might not be so positive. The power of zeal, each power, spiritual power, is represented by one of the disciples. And this one is represented by the Apostle Simon. Have you heard of Simon the Zealot? How many of you heard of Simon the Zealot? Yes. Well, he was called that because he belonged to a rebel group called the Zealots. And they had a good purpose. Their purpose was good. They saw taxation as slavery. And even though that purpose was good, their actions became violent. Aren't we seeing that today? When a terrorist does something, he's in his head doing it for a good. But human zeal moves into a negative place. It's reactive, it's obsessive, it's compulsive, and it's fear-based, and it usually is furthering my belief, right? We see that. Those people have become so zealous about their belief, and they think they're helping the world. Through Simon's association with Jesus and the other disciples, he changed. He became more loving. He became kinder. And ministry became his life's work. And that's why it's so important to be with like-minded people, to be with people that are doing their spiritual work, so that we don't move into that reactive phase. Our interaction with like-minded people can change us, can point us in a positive direction, just the way Simon was changed by hanging out with Jesus. So we get to be that representation for each other. We get to hold each other up, lift each other up. Personal ego, personal zeal creates chaos. And that chaos is an unstable energy. So what do you feel when you see all these things on TV? What happens inside of you? It gets all shaky, doesn't it? But here's the thing. Zeal follows the power of divine order. And there's a reason for that. Because chaos seeks stability. It seeks to balance out. So even when the world seems like it's going crazy, when it seems like everything is out of balance, It is going, and do this if you're in fear with what's going on, it is going to balance out. And it will either go back to where it was, or it will rise up higher. And it depends. So you're in charge. You've got the power. We're in chaos. It's going to even out. It's going to balance. Do we want it to go back the way it was? Or do we want it to rise up? It all depends on the spiritual work we do right now during this time. Do we get sucked into it? Or do we say, as we say in unity, do we hold the high watch? Do you know what that means? Do I hold the high watch? Do I not get drawn in? Shut the TV off and take a moment and sit and get still and get quiet. Because more times I can become peaceful and still, that energy moves out from me. Our collective consciousness, right now in this room, our collective consciousness, our combined energy is what changes this world. Don't just hear these words. Let them sink in and know that you can make this choice. Our collective consciousness, our energy, lifts our soul, and it lifts the soul of this whole world.
We are lifted up.
Lifted up.
We are lifted up.
We are lifted up.
Like the risen Christ of our consciousness. We are lifted up. We are lifted up. Like the risen Christ of our consciousness. Oh, we are lifted up. Oh, we are lifted up. Oh, we are lifted up. Oh, we are lifted up.
Spiritual zeal. It aligns us, it harmonizes us with the universe. Feel that, know that. And we move forward. We can move this world forward easily, enthusiastically toward the higher good. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, when he was 94 years old, wrote this: I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that need to be done by me. Read that with me. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that need to be done by me. Own that. And you're going to get a card to read every single day. Age doesn't matter. One more card, right? So what is it? What is it that needs to be done by you? This is a little book we used on Tuesday mornings as our 12 Gifts from God. And this week, this particular one stopped us. A divine plan is unfolding through you now. You have a magnificent purpose, and this planet Earth and your realization of this purpose is coming in a special way. Feel that. It is your contribution to the uplifting of mankind.
There's a gift that's been given to you, and that gift is so specific that it's only your own. And everyone here in this place has their own unique way to bring a smile to each face. I am unique, I am a child of the universe, with treasures and limits unknown. I am unique, I am a child of the universe, and I have a gift of my own. Again, I am unique, I am a child of the universe, with treasures and limits unknown. I am unique, I am a child of the universe, and I have a gift all my own.
This little book, The Science of Getting Rich, that we use in Prosperity Plus, by Wallace D. Wattles, says, the very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. The very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. You know, Fern and I only knew each other from church. Didn't know if we'd be good travel mates or anything. But let me tell you what I saw this lady do over and over again. I saw her use her unique gift. If you know Fern, she always has a smile. She always has a kind word. And whether it was fellow travelers, a waiter, a waitress, or a grumpy hotel clerk, she had that smile, and she had those words. It's her unique gift. What's yours? In class Tuesday morning, someone shared something that really upset them. They couldn't get around it. I want to tell you, look at that thing that upsets you the most, because that's what's showing you the way to your unique gift. You can allow your human zeal to react to it, or you can dig in to that spiritual zeal and let it show you what you came here to do. You stand on holy ground, that place in your consciousness. Remember that. Live from that. Dare to let it shine through you. And this week, like Yogi Bear at Jellystone Park, expand your soul beyond fear, live the life your soul came here to be, and awaken your spiritual zeal. God bless you.
We are all one people. We are all one people. I am you and you are me. We are all one people. Even when we don't agree, we are all one people. Different thoughts and different creeds, different gifts and different needs. But we all win when one succeeds. We are all one people. We are all one people. All the young and all the old. We are all one people. All the meek and all the bold. We are all one people. Though we live in different lands, we all play in one big band. All the children holding hands. We are all one people. We are